Let's get a divorce. I'm going to be with someone else I've been seeing,"
said Kevin, my husband. Furthermore, my mother-in-law added in her usual condescending tone,
There's no division of assets for you. Just get out right now.
Meanwhile, my father-in-law was off spending money on women at nightclubs. Honestly, I didn't want to live with any of them. I was ready to leave just as they wished. Before that, I needed to make them regret what they had done to me. My name is Joy. I was named Joy with the hope that I would be blessed with an abundance of happiness, but looking back, most of my 50 years haven't exactly been filled with much joy. However, because my days are so happy now, I can probably look back and laugh at the past. This story took place when I was 35. At the time, Kevin and I were about to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. We didn't have children, and I often felt uncomfortable when people asked, "When are you having kids?" or said, "Kids are such a joy." Kevin and I talked less and less over the years. Since he had gotten promoted a few years earlier, he was always busy with work and traveling for business. I was working too, so we barely saw each other. With a schedule like that, no wonder we didn't have kids. Honestly, I didn't mind. I figured this was just how our marriage worked, less stress, no kids, no big deal. At least, that was what I thought. One day, though, our family grew in the most unexpected way. It wasn't a sweet little baby who joined us. It was actually Kevin's parents, who turned out to be extremely challenging. Apparently, ever since we got married, they had been pestering him about moving in with us. Kevin was trying to balance the hassle of living with them against that of repeatedly declining them. He decided it would be less trouble to just let them move in. His decision was really practical, wasn't it? No way. Well, I didn't agree to that at all. Kevin said,
"I'm hardly ever home, so it's not a big deal."
Sure, it wouldn't be a big deal for him. Still, I figured it would be fine, as long as his parents were decent people. I had never liked them though, even before we lived together. They were the ones constantly nagging me about having kids. In particular, my mother-in-law named Lucy never missed an opportunity to say,
The more kids you have, the better.
She only had Kevin herself. Living with those in-laws? It made my stomach churn just thinking about it. How would living with them turn out? My expectations were quickly shattered. It was not in a good way, but was even worse than I had imagined. Before living together, my father-in-law, Tom, solemnly declared,
We're not giving you any of our Social Security or living expenses.
Lucy chimed in with a smile.
That's the plan. Let's all get along.
What did that even mean? Kevin also shrugged it off, saying,
"We both work, so we don't need to take money from them."
He was on their side. I had never had serious complaints about Kevin until then. Honestly, even before our marriage, I didn't expect much from him to begin with. As long as he didn't lose his temper and worked hard, that was enough for me. However, all the frustrations I had been ignoring came rushing in at once. It didn't take long to realize why his parents really wanted to live with us. Tom would often leave the house at night, claiming he was meeting friends for drinks. I believed him until I found certain things in the laundry. That was a punch card for a nightclub and a business card for someone named Mimi. Let's just say these clubs cater to a man's very specific desires. Oh, I see, Tom likes Mimi, huh? I couldn't help but think that he was quite lively for his age, not in a good way, of course. No wonder he couldn't contribute to living expenses since he was busy spending on Mimi. That would make sense. No, that couldn't be. Meanwhile, Lucy started to subtly pick on me. It wasn't obvious initially. She was sneaky, gradually ramping up her criticisms to the point where even I didn't realize what was happening. At first, I thought she was just being helpful. If her complaints had been limited to the way I folded laundry or seasoned the food, I might have tolerated them, but she went further. Sometimes, she called me by the name of Kevin's ex-girlfriend. Each time, she'd offer an apology, saying,
"Oh, I'm sorry. She was the first girl Kevin ever introduced to me, so she really left an impression. It's not on purpose."
At first, I thought that she was just getting older and that these things could happen, but when it happened repeatedly, even I realized it was funny. Come to think of it, whenever it was my turn to take a shower, the bathroom was always covered in hair. I thought it was just leftover dirt from Kevin or my in-laws, but no one else ever complained about that. It became clear that it was likely Lucy's doing. Once, there was the time on a snowy day when Lucy mistakenly thought everyone had finished showering and turned off the water heater, leaving me to endure an ice-cold shower. She also took my favorite necklace from my dresser without asking and ended up losing it. Each time, she apologized, saying,
"I didn't mean to. I'm so forgetful. I'm sorry."
Sure, forgetting a name or turning off the water heater might be an accident, but taking my jewelry was no accident. I started to suspect it was all part of her harassment. My suspicions were confirmed one evening when Lucy sat at the dinner table, fuming, and snapped,
"Because you got home late. My dinner was late."
By then, I was certain that all of this was her bullying. Looking back, she hadn't done any housework since moving in. She'd toss her socks into the laundry inside out, leave labels on bottles before throwing them in the trash, and generally add to my workload in small but annoying ways. If dinner was late, she'd complain. If the bed sheets were messy, she'd demand that I fix them. Even on her bad days, she'd throw things at me. It finally hit me. We did have babies in the house, 2 large and malicious ones. Since I worked as a caregiver at a nursing facility, I was already exhausted from work. I just wanted to get through the day and collapse into bed, so I let her complaints slide. I didn't have the energy to argue with anyone when I got home. Every second of rest mattered to me. However, I started to notice something over time. It appeared that Lucy was aware of Tom's late-night outings. One evening, when an actress appeared on TV, she kept pestering him, saying,
"Isn't she your type? You like girls like her, don't you?"
The actress's name was Mimi. It was the same name as the girl from the club. Tom's face turned pale. After that, I asked Lucy once,
"Are you okay with your husband fooling around like that?"
She answered,
"What am I supposed to do? If I got divorced at my age, I'd be just another divorcee. It'd be so embarrassing, and people would talk. Of course, I hate it, but he's just fooling around with nightclub workers, right? As long as it's not serious, I can deal with it."
It wasn't about loving him. She just didn't want the stigma of being a divorced woman. I couldn't understand her reasoning, but still, ignoring an affair must have been incredibly stressful for her. Thus, all that stress came out as bullying me. Not only could she vent her frustrations on me, but she also avoided housework altogether. 2 birds with 1 stone. I finally realized the reason Lucy had pushed Kevin to let them move in. Since his parents had moved in, Kevin found more and more reasons to work late or stay out. His family was rotten to the core. If I didn't do something, I'd be crushed right along with them. Then, about 6 months after we started living together, something happened. On a rare day when Kevin and I both had the day off, he said,
"I want a divorce."
It hit me like a bolt from the blue. Kevin had apparently been cheating on me with his old classmate for a long time. I didn't know it at all, and yet, he wanted to be with her. He told me their relationship had started just before his promotion. I thought he had been working so hard for our future, but maybe it was for her. Was it my fault for not paying closer attention to his behavior, always using my tiredness as an excuse? I thought cheating was something that would happen in a TV show or with Tom only. Wait. If Tom was doing it, maybe it's no surprise his son would do it, too.
Joy, we will be ready to live together in this house soon. Take your stuff and leave.
Then Lucy immediately asked,
What about us?
She's fine with you staying here, so you can stay.
What a sweet girl. Joy, don't even think about asking for any part of the assets or money. We'll still be using this house and everything in it.
Wow, what a great girl. As long as she's cuter than Joy, I'll have no complaints.
Lucy shot him a glare that said,
There you go, chasing women again.
but Kevin and Tom just laughed loudly. They were really hopeless. I said calmly,
Fine. I agree to the divorce. Can you just wait until the family memorial service back home?
Well, you're planning to pig out on the food there. How shameless. No way we're taking you with us. Just get out right now.
shameless? I wondered who the shameless one was there. Who would care about the food? Despite both being women and both being cheated on, Lucy and I were worlds apart.
Well, I'm just thinking of moving out that day. Going back to my family feels humiliating, after being cheated on. It will take some time to find a place and handle the paperwork for living on my own, so I think I might be ready to move around that time.
Before Lucy could answer, Kevin said smugly.
Fine, if that's what you need.
He was cheating and still acting high and mighty. He shouldn't underestimate me. I was determined I was going to destroy everything. A week later, the day I had been eagerly anticipating finally arrived. That morning, Kevin and his parents left for the memorial service back home. They were due back in the evening. All right then. Let's get started. The junk removal service I had hired showed up on time. I had them haul away all kinds of furniture, including the couch, the microwave, their beds, even the clothes Lucy had accumulated since moving in. Kevin's favorite new model vacuum was gone. The fridge, along with everything in it, was also gone. From appliances to trinkets, I tossed everything. Decluttering had never felt so good. With every item I got rid of, it felt like another burden was lifted from my shoulders. Next, a moving company arrived to transport my belongings to my new apartment. By the time evening rolled around, the house was completely empty. I heard the front door lock rattling. They were back. Smiling, I stood by the entrance, playing the role of the perfect wife one last time as I greeted them.
Man. You're still here.
Kevin exclaimed with his face twisting in anger. Kevin's parents looked equally annoyed.
Oh, don't be so cold. This is the last time, after all. Can't I at least say goodbye before I go? I wanted to see you one last time.
What? You still care about me?
Kevin stammered and blushed slightly. I smirked inwardly.
Well, I guess we could have one last dinner together.
As he headed for the living room, Lucy muttered.
Kevin, you're too soft.
Grinning at me, Tom said to Kevin,
That's my boy.
as if proud of him. That was ridiculous.
One last dinner, huh? That would have been nice, if there was anything left to eat.
What do you mean? Wait. Oh no.
Kevin flung open the living room door, only to let out a startled yell as he saw inside.
What's going on?
Lucy peeked in behind him and screamed.
What the hell is this?
Tom joined in, equally dumbfounded.
Oh my God. Joy, where is the fridge? And all the furniture and appliances? Why is everything gone?
As you can see, I threw it all out. The house feels so much bigger now, doesn't it? I figured I shouldn't leave old furniture around for you and your new girlfriend's fresh start. Think of it as my final act of service.
You threw it out. Why? I thought you were getting ready to move out.
Oh, I've already moved out. When you move, you throw out things you don't need, right? Don't tell me you forgot that I paid for most of the stuff we bought after getting married. Since I didn't need it anymore, I got rid of it. Perfectly fair, don't you think?
My words left Kevin standing there, mouth open, pointing at me, and unable to speak. He looked utterly shocked.
I'll consider this your assets division. Not that there was much to divide anyway.
I smiled sweetly, and Lucy exploded.
How could you do this? What have you done?
Oh, I'll throw those words right back at your idiot son. It's pretty outrageous to cheat on your wife and then tell her to leave so you can remarry. Maybe this is the result of poor parenting?
How dare you talk to your mother-in-law like that? What a terrible wife we ended up with.
Do you still think that you're my mother-in-law? To me, you're just another old lady.
I grinned as I spoke, and she trembled with anger, muttering.
You have no sense of respect.
I couldn't deny that watching her fume was oddly satisfying.
By the way, did you forget? If I demand this house as part of the property settlement, Kevin would have no choice but to agree. If he loses the house, where exactly will you all live? You have sold your previous home, right?
In fact, they had sold their previous home when they moved in with us. They thought they'd never need it again. That's why this house was absolutely essential to them. They sided with Kevin's mistress over me simply because having a house that would come with a housekeeper was all they really cared about. My words made Tom panic.
Now, let's all stay calm.
He said, trying to act like the peacemaker.
You are right. Let's stay calm.
Yes, that's the spirit, Joy.
Of course. By the way, didn't you say your phone was broken today?
Huh? Oh, yes. I noticed it wasn't turning on after we left. If charging it doesn't work, I'll have to take it to the store.
No need for that. Your phone is right here.
I pulled his phone out of my pocket.
Wait, how do you have it? What's going on?
He asked, utterly confused.
Right before you left, I swapped your phone with an old one I bought online. I took the battery out of the fake one, so of course it wouldn't turn on. The one in my pocket is the real one.
What do you mean?
I figured since you're not great with technology, you'd give up easily, assuming the phone was broken or just out of battery when it wouldn't turn on. Looks like I was right.
Staring at me, who was smiling sweetly, he asked,
Why would you do something like that?
Why do you think I did that?
Well, I have no idea.
By the way, I saw a sweet message from your favorite, Mimi, saying that she had a great time the other day. You text her daily, don't you? So adorable, it's almost enough to make me jealous.
No, that can't be true.
As he weakly denied it, Lucy turned to glare at him.
So, you were out having fun with Mimi, huh? Wow, you're more romantic with her than with your wife. But if you're going to cheat, at least put a lock on your phone. Otherwise, you make it too easy to get caught.
Stop it, Joy. Please.
Well, I've realized that cheating is wrong. Being cheated on by Kevin hurt me, and I can understand how Lucy must feel. That's why I did a good deed for you both. I texted Mimi, saying that you're bored with her and want to break up. She was furious, obviously. Her reply? She replied that you're a useless old man, and she only stuck around for your money. See? A problem was solved.
Then I turned to Lucy and said,
Well, this is Mimi, who is your romantic rival. Take a good look at her.
Then I handed Tom his phone back after I showed a picture of him and Mimi together to everyone in the room. That was when Kevin's expression turned dark and tense, something I had never seen before.
Oh my God. Why is my girlfriend in this picture?
What did you say?
Everyone but Kevin shouted in unison.
What are you talking about, Kevin? What is Mimi to you?
I should be the one asking you that, Dad. Why do you have a picture with her?
Kevin yelled back.
She's my girlfriend, obviously.
No, she's my girlfriend.
Wait, I thought your girlfriend was your old classmate.
I met Mimi at a nightclub, and we started seeing each other outside as well.
I never imagined that a father and son could both be dating the same woman. Even I was stunned by the absurdity of it all. As Lucy and I stood there in shock, the two men devolved into a childish argument over who deserved to be Mimi's boyfriend. It escalated into a full-blown brawl, with them pulling each other's hair like toddlers fighting over a toy. The fight only ended when Kevin yanked out a sizable chunk of his father's already thinning hair. After glancing at Tom, who was utterly defeated, I decided it was time to make my exit.
Well then, I'll be heading to my new place now. Thank you for everything. I am going to claim alimony later on. Bye.
While I had let them off easy when it came to dividing assets, I never said anything about not claiming alimony. Lucy, now fully aware of the seriousness of the affair, swung her handbag in a fury, hitting Tom repeatedly in her rage. Meanwhile, Kevin was seemingly confused after various things had happened, and just slumped to the floor like a man who had lost all will to live. It was a complete mess, a scene straight out of a nightmare, and yet, I couldn't stop myself from smirking as I hopped onto my scooter and sped off. In my head, I was the spitting image of Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Certainly, it wasn't even remotely true, but who would care? Riding down the cool night roads, I felt freer than I had in years. Later, when I demanded a divorce and alimony, Kevin tried to stall. Apparently, my in-laws were also considering divorcing, and everyone was worried about losing their home or needing extra money to adjust to their new lives. Kevin tried to guilt me, saying things like,
Don't you feel bad leaving us all having nowhere to go?
and
We need the money right now.
I wasn't having it though. I pushed forward with the divorce and made sure to collect every cent I was owed from Kevin. When I was claiming alimony, I felt a bit guilty, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was simply getting what I rightfully deserved. Well, maybe swapping phones was a bit shady. In the end, not long after Kevin and I divorced, Lucy filed for divorce, too. Apparently, Tom's affair with Mimi had been going on for over 5 years. What Lucy could never forgive was that they had an intimate relationship outside the nightclub. I never really understood why visiting nightclubs was acceptable, but having private affairs wasn't. I thought that every couple had its quirks. Well, they're no longer a couple anyway. As expected, Tom faced an alimony claim from Lucy, and Kevin paid me for alimony, too. His family completely fell apart, and everyone went their separate ways. Lucy, who was disillusioned with men altogether, even grew distant from Kevin. She blamed him for his behavior and how similar he was to his father. As a result, Kevin and Lucy ended up only talking about the bare minimum after her divorce, and they've been gradually growing distant. As for Tom, without a job, he tried relying on Kevin. However, Kevin was barely scraping by in his own impoverished life and refused to help him. Kevin juggled multiple jobs to make ends meet, while Lucy, who had been a housewife her whole life, took on her first ever part-time job. Tom ended up settling for working odd jobs. Also, although Kevin was all set on marrying Mimi, it turned out she wasn't interested at all. To Mimi, both Kevin and Tom were just customers at the nightclub, literally nothing more than cash cows. Furthermore, it was revealed that Mimi had other men like them as well. Despite that, Kevin had believed their meeting was fate and thought Mimi was the love of his life. It was almost laughable how naive he had been. Eventually, Mimi dumped both of them, declaring,
I don't need troublesome guys like you, even for money.
Everything played out exactly as I had hoped. Their family collapsed spectacularly, and I couldn't be more satisfied. None of them cared for each other and they were all selfish, so it was only fitting that things ended this way. In short, it was just a family on the surface, completely lacking in compassion. Looking back now, I'm truly glad I escaped from that household. As for me, I'm still tired from work every day, but now, living on my own, I have the freedom I never had when I was married. I've reconnected with old friends from school and even started traveling on my days off. I've made time for hobbies, too. In college, I was in the folk music club, so I recently joined a chorus group. It turns out that I can keep improving my singing, no matter how old I am. We've even won several competitions and received cash prizes. My finances have never been better. At work, suggested by my colleagues, I organized a chorus event for the residents of our nursing facility. The first event was a huge hit, and seeing everyone smile because of something I loved doing felt incredible. My go-to songs? Chapel of Love and I Will Always Love You. Old songs really have such meaningful lyrics. I can't quite keep up with the newer ones, but I guess I'll have to study up. My life may not be flashy, but I'm surrounded by kind colleagues, trustworthy friends, and the wonderful residents who have become like family to me. It feels like my name, Joy, which symbolizes happiness, is finally living up to its meaning. From now on, I want to be someone who not only receives happiness, but also shares it with others. All right. Let's give it my all today. It's one of the residents' birthday, and I'm going to make sure it's a celebration to remember.